it's listen,
Right.
and I use this analogy a lot. I use this analogy a lot. So please don't take it offensive. I mean it. Was slavery wrong?
Yes.
Of course. But why?
Because it was oppressive.
It was what?
Because they weren't viewed as people.
That's
They were
wrong.
Oppressive.
All
And
right.
they were.
Well, why were they not viewed as people?
Because they were black.
Black. And who did not view them as people?
Whites.
The white people. And was it a law? Was it a law for them to do it? Was it against the law for what? Was slavery against the law?
To a certain year, it was not.
So it used to be legal.
It used to be legal, yeah.
Legal. And everybody really believed that what they were doing was right.
A good portion of them, yeah.
A good portion of people believed that it was okay, that these weren't humans, that this was basically property, and I can do whatever I want to do with them and treat them any way I want. And
Because the law says that.
and the majority of people said this is okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, why were they wrong? Why do you think that they were wrong? If the majority of the people believed this and it was legal, shouldn't it be right?
No.
But why?
Because
Is it
my hand matches your hand.
is it a matter of opinion?
No, your hand don't match my hand. They look totally different.
A little bit, but you see what I mean. We got 5 fingers.
Shaped the
I was
same.
being metaphorical.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
I think he understood what I meant.
Yeah,
But
yeah, he
his
gets
point
it.
though is it was because of the color of the skin though.
Yeah, they treated it, and the Bible tells us that we're all one blood with descendants of Adam, and that you should love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
But listen, you said this: the slavery is wrong, but you said that the majority of people believed that it was okay.
Yeah.
That you could treat it, that it was not a human being, that it was legal. It was absolutely, and it's crazy.
Property.
Property, and it's legal. That slave owner can do whatever he wanted to do.
It's not your body, it's my body because I own you.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you see the point that I'm trying to make, Madison, about this? Majority of people say that it's okay. It's completely legal. It's not a person. It's property. I can do whatever I want to do with my property. It's legal, Madison. But who's to say now that it's wrong?
Are you equating a human being to something that's inside another? To a body of cells?
Well,
another person?
We believe, even science, at heartbeat, at 21 days, even at 22 weeks, a baby can be born, can come out of the womb and live on his own with a little bit of help. But it's okay for a mama to go to the abortion clinic, and this is in Orlando. You can go to Orlando, you can go to Atlanta. They stick a needle in the baby's heart, to stop the baby, to stop this parasite, as you would say, and to stop this parasite's heart, and then that baby or that parasite can be born in the toilet. I know that you know better, but maybe it's just right. Your reasoning, maybe I'm wrong. Your reasoning is so that it fits your worldview, but that's a child. But the world says no, it's not. It's just property. In your worldview, it's really no different than the slave owners. This is what we believe that this is it. This is what we believe that the black people were parasites, were property. This is parasite. This is property. Mama can do whatever she wants to do with it because it's legal.
And it's okay to change your view. Because there's a lot of slave owners who own slaves, but when it became illegal, they got to thinking and got to realizing this ain't right. These are people. I don't agree with this. And they weren't made to get rid of their slaves just because the Emancipation Proclamation came across the lines. That don't mean that everybody had to get rid of their slaves. They still weren't made to. It was illegal, but they weren't made to. A lot of them just gave them up on their own. They released them and said you can go because they realized this ain't right, you know.
And you know who was the one who basically helped that led the fight to abolish slavery? It was Christians, people who followed Jesus. Those are the ones that led the fight to get rid of it. And they used pictures of slavery. They used tools. You've probably seen Amazing Grace.
No.
Seriously, you got to watch it.
What was that guy's name?
William Wilberforce.
Yeah.
He was a member of Parliament in England, and his friend William Pitt was the youngest Prime Minister of England at the time that it happened. And they came to him because he was a believer. He wanted to be a preacher. Well, we believe you can do both. So he led the fight to end slavery, and he did. And they used pictures. They did articles. This one guy shared a story, Madison, and I love the movie because for me it just points straight to Christ. And you love your neighbor. Slavery is despicable. I grew up in in West Montgomery. I grew up in Regency Park, over here in West Montgomery, though, on Davis Drive. I was the only white kid on the bus, and I wasn't, you know, you probably had, you know, racism from white folks. I had it from black folks. I've been called cracker. I've been in fights. Let's get the white kid. I mean, I've heard it all, and I hated black people when I was younger. And the reason being, and I had good reason to hate black people, because I'm fighting them all the time. They're messing with me. I couldn't tell you how many times I got called cracker. And it just, I'm like, I remember one guy, we're fighting, and he picked up a brick, and I said, if you hit me with that brick, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm a teenager, and he threw the brick on the ground, busted it, and sure enough, he hit me with a brick. I chased his butt. And then next thing you know, here comes five or six black kids. Nope, want to come beat up the one white guy. Come on, cracker. And I'm gonna tell you, that makes a person angry. That makes a person mad. And for being a lost person, I judged those. I disliked those people because they were black, not because they were thugs and just mean and lost sinners. Because they were black, I associated the way they acted with the color of skin, which is wrong. You know, right. It's stupid to do that today. Not all white people. You know, we hate slavery. We think that it's ridiculous. We don't think that it's God honoring. You know, to treat your brother. You love your brother. You know, love your neighbor as yourself. I've taken black people into my house. My best friends are black, except for him. He just, you know, he's not. But I was about to crack a joke with him. But you love your neighbor as yourself. And as I got older, I realized how wrong I was. And I have people all the time say things to me. And you know, we bring up race out here because we see it. We see it, and we know the history. We know the history of Planned Parenthood and things like that, and that gets people frustrated. But we're sharing the truth. But William Wilberforce, there was a story he told. He went on a slave trip, Madison. A slave ship, went on a slave ship, and they would come over with like 600 slaves, like 200 of them would make it across. And one of the guys who survived the slave trip, he I can't think of Anatuji or something like that. He wrote a book. He was a free slave. He wrote a book, and I wish I could find the book. But you look up William Wilberforce and look up his friends. You need to read his book. But he talked about how they would stick things of cotton up the slaves' butts to cover up dysentery. He had pictures of the chains, because what they did, they were trying to make slavery real, because people,
Madison,
you know,
good talking to you this morning.
Because you know the majority of people, see man, be good. The majority of people.
You want to shake my hand? You want fist bump?
The majority of people didn't see slavery, you know.
Nice meeting you, Valerie.
They're sitting there eating their sugar, drinking their hot tea, drinking their drinks, living their life. They didn't see what was going on in plantations and how people were being mistreated, so they brought it to life. In the same way, when it comes to the killing of babies, we don't have our pictures today, but people hate those pictures. And I know you don't believe us when it's a baby. We believe it's a baby. We wouldn't stand out here in the cold. You know, the other day somebody maced me. Last week I got punched in the face, got hit in the forehead, threw rocks at, threw all my signs out in the road. And I've never cussed not one person out, Madison. I told them I love them. And to love your baby, man, this is sin. That makes people angry to tell them, because they know, Madison.
Now, he brought up, he brought up a good point about the fruits you bear and whatnot for your work. And like, I don't doubt that there have been instances where people have come, like you mentioned, after and thanked you guys, you know, that they felt that you guys helped them make a better choice or whatnot. I wonder though about the countless others who are now scarred and traumatized, not because of what happened here, but because of what you guys have done to them.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's worth the exchange.
Well, we never cuss anybody out.
You don't have to cuss anyone.
No, and I told you the reason why we're loud, that we're talking to people.
Yeah. And you feel it goes back again to that idea of your narrative, your truth. The fact that you feel the need to impose this on other people.
There's a times like you don't have kids, I don't think, right? No kids yet?
I'm not telling.
So it's okay. Well, it don't matter. But listen, with my kids, there's a time that talking to my children, that this is what works. This is what changes their behavior. Then there's a time where I got to make my voice a little bit deeper.
Right.
You know, there's a time I'm gonna have to spank them.
Right.
There's a time I have to punish them. You know, different times. And there are times, you know, that they're like, you know, I can raise my voice just a little bit, and my kids, you know, nope, they know that daddy means business. And for some people, it turns them completely off.
Yeah.
They won't listen to a word I say. And most people ain't gonna listen to you sitting there screaming in their face. We don't have to. I told you why we scream,
Right, yeah.
or why we're loud. And I know when we're standing here, they can hear me. Like the guy who came out one day, bawling like a baby, or the lady who came out who heard every word that I said. They hear it. For some people it's going to work, for some people it don't. It doesn't necessarily mean that you just stop doing whatever, because some people, like for you guys come out, for some people, they love the protection that you guys offer. For some people, I've seen them get away from me. They don't want to have nothing to do with you guys. They don't want to have nothing to do with us either. But some things work for people, some things it won't. I can share the gospel of Jesus Christ with somebody, standing on a street corner preaching. It may turn somebody off. Somebody may listen.
Yeah.
But some person, no, that's just a loud, crazy street preacher, you know. But some people, when we're standing on a street corner, or we're doing a one-to-one talking to somebody, or at a prayer station or somewhere, that's what works. But
I think that the best thing is whenever you do your ministry work, and you know, you do what you do. But I feel you should always keep the person in mind. And I think sensitivity is key.
Well, I tell you this, I thought about that a lot, because you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And I thought about when I'm preaching, and if you listened to me a while ago, I let them know. I said, ma'am, I let them know I'm not allowed to sound mean or harsh, but I want you to hear me. And I give them that point. You know, it's like with my children again.
Right.
Listen, I'm not angry with you, but I mean business. You know, and I tell them, ma'am, I don't want them to be mad. I don't want them to be angry. I actually want them to come out here and talk to us. And we've seen, not just from me, but I have friends who do the exact same thing, who's a lot louder. They've seen a lot more fruit than I have. But and Daniel's right. You'll know a tree by the fruit that it bears. And sometimes I may not see any fruit. I may go months without seeing one mama turn around, Madison. And
my sensitivity point wasn't so much as you being loud. My sensitivity point is just you being here, period. Like you just being here.
Well, they're jumping off of a cliff, as we see it. Man, this is as we see it. But we believe. Well, the problem we have is that who is God, and is it a baby or not? Our view of God, who He is, we believe this is serious. That those babies have God's fingerprint all over them. That He calls children gifts. He doesn't lie. His word says in Psalms, children are